Hello, everyone, and welcome to the UPress Play News Podcast, Episode 3. My name's Natalia. I'm the news editor.
I'm Jillian. I'm the news desk chief.
I'm Michael. I'm a contributing writer.
And I'm Neil. I'm also a contributing writer.
And on today's list of stuff we're going to be talking about is FAU hits 200 cumulative cases of COVID, the random testing program, vaccines to the health programs at FAU, student government elections, the additional fraud cases, and in national news, we have Texas and Ted Cruz, Andrew Cuomo, and Rush Limbaugh. So first off, I want to congratulate our own Jillian right now because she has just been promoted to our copy desk chief.
Oh, thank you. You didn't have to do that.
I had to. She's officially our new editor. So editor, yeah, part of the editor's channel. So I guess I'll get started with the 200 FAU COVID cases. So FAU recently, this past week, hit more than 200 cumulative COVID cases. And as of right now, we have 227 students and 440 employees. That's cumulative. And for active cases, we have 2 employees and 20 students. Most of them are all at the Boca Raton campus. So what active COVID cases mean is, so besides that, we also have the randomized testing program that is happening at FAU. So what basically this random testing program that FAU is doing is basically if you're in campus on basically meaning you live at the residential. So besides that, we also have the randomized testing program that is happening at FAU. So basically what this means is FAU is doing this randomized testing program, which is for any on-campus or any person that checks into FAU using the FAU cards, basically anybody that's at FAU or that logs into FAU that works there is basically being sent out at random to be tested for COVID. So I know Jillian did something about this. So do you want to give more information about it?
Sure, yes. So it is a voluntary program. What FAU is doing is through the random testing program, they are selecting approximately 800 individuals, students and staff alike, every week. But the staff or the testing is completely voluntary. So I've seen a lot of people, which is why I wanted to bring it up, they get it and then they freak out because they have a very certain amount of time to get the testing, but it is actually a voluntary program. Now, of course, if you can go get tested, you might as well get tested. That's the best way to be safe, and that's why this program is in place. But if you are really in a bad position, don't worry about being, having a hold on your account or, otherwise punished.
Yeah, I got randomly tested, and I didn't feel like driving all the way to campus from where I live, so I just went to CVS and got mine there. And so with CVS, they give you your results on an app on your phone. And so I just took a picture where it said I didn't have it because that's basically all I got. And I uploaded it to the website and they wouldn't accept my results, but like I don't have a way of uploading anything else, and I never heard from them again. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's completely voluntary. Like I said, do it if you can, but you will not face any punishment if you are unable to.
Oh, and negative, by the way. Negative.
Yay!
Yay!
Fair.
Perfect.
So also we have the FAU vaccines are given to the health programs at FAU. So I know FAU is basically, Dio, I know you took it. So do you want to give more information on this?
Yeah, so originally they gave it to some people at the School of Nursing, and that was like a couple months ago. But they announced about a month ago that they sent out to students in different professions that were considered health professions, like social work, which is what I'm studying, because we are like I'm in my internship right now, so every day I am face to face with people from the public, usually homeless people in my case. And so the FAU made an agreement or worked it out with Palm City or Palm Beach County for them to put a number of vaccines aside for FAU students. So yesterday it was at a senior center in Lake Worth. So I drove up there. It was very, very organized, very expedient, but it was very smooth. And I just think it was, you know, I appreciate that they were looking out for us because just I think it was last week, publicly that mental health providers were just given the ability to get the vaccine. And when I mean mental health providers, I mean psychiatrists, mental health nurses that are working in psych wards in hospitals and working with even patients, like even individual practices. And especially in psych wards, these are people that might have just come off the street. I'm not feeding into the stigma at all because most psych patients are not dangerous. Most of them are more scared of you than you are of them, and most of them are not violent. But every once in a while, they can get in your face. You can get angry, and they can be unpredictable. So mental health care. I don't see why they would have separated mental health care and other health care in the first place. But it was very good that they did that work for their students, and I'm very appreciative that they did.
Yeah.
If I go back in a month, take my second vaccine.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think everyone views mental health medicine the same as more standard and general medicine.
That's a stigma about it. Yeah, it is a medical problem, and unfortunately people don't understand that when you get a cold, you get a cough, your nose runs, and you don't feel good. And when you have a mental illness, your symptoms are behavioral, and it's the same thing. I mean, it's factual, that's what it is, but because people don't understand it, they look at it differently.
Well, yeah, even aside from behavioral, emotional as well, which is even more invisible and harder to treat and harder to understand. It's a whole thing.
This week we have student government elections. So student government elections are being held from Tuesday, 23rd to Wednesday, February 21st, and these are the spring 2021 student government elections representatives for the student body. So basically, you log into your Our Central account and you click the voting banner to cast your vote for leadership. Basically, student government will be hosting elections for the student government president and vice presidents, as well as the 3 campus governors of Boca Raton, Broward, and Jupiter. So,
yay!
Does anyone want to talk about the candidates a little bit?
I can talk about them briefly, but I'm sure Neil might know a little more than me. I wrote a story about the candidates, and let me see if I have it on my Google Drive real quick. 1 second. This didn't get published yet. It still needs looked at. But so the person running for president is his name's Maxwell Simonson. He's a sophomore. He grew up in Boca. He had a quote on Instagram where he said FAU was the best university in Florida, in his opinion. He vowed he was going to be proactive in communicating with the student body of all the campuses. The vice president is Lily McDonald, and she's from Naples. Her brother Kyle was a former student body president, and she said that he was the reason why she chose to come to FAU. And I really liked her quote. She said she wants to enhance student life, enhance campus life, get more events on campus, and really work for the students and better their overall experience. I want to put FAU on the map, she said. And she said she wants to conduct more open forums and questionnaires with Al Central, where students can talk to student leaders about their main concerns and their grievances, and advertise the services even more. For the Boca Raton campus governors, the candidates are 2 juniors, Nicholas Brickman and Rhoda Hoods. I believe, Neil, you know Rhoda, correct?
I know Rhoda Hoods, and And what was it you, Michael, that messaged me about if Brickman?
Yeah, I think it said he said in one of his things that he was an attorney general or something in student government.
Yeah,
I didn't know if
I
he's
looked that up and then I couldn't find the message to reply to it, and I didn't know who it was from. But yeah, he was an attorney general for student government. Rhoda became a member of the House of Representatives at the same time I did, which was this year. She's also involved in the Elite Owls, which is through the lead office that puts together. I was actually also a member of the Elite Owls until this January. I decided not to be a member anymore, so we were both part of that organization. They're known mostly for putting together training workshops for iLead in the fall semester, and then Rhoda really stepped up for me. I'm still in student government, but I was the chair of they call it the CBAC committee, which is Campus Budget Action Committee. So we get the budget for like COSO and for all these different student events and for night owls, and it's about a $1 million budget. So the CBAC chair, which is so I had to overlook and work on balancing this budget of $1 million. What happened with COVID, with all the dates changing, with canceling spring break and with moving the semester up 1 week, there were 4 days that we were supposed to be listening to presentations from all these different organizations and have them explain to us why they wanted the budget, why they were asking for so much money. And because the dates changed, my internship moved up a week, so I couldn't be there as the chair of the entire committee. I couldn't be there to listen to the presentations. So Rhoda volunteered to be the vice chair, and she was the one who handled all of the presentations. So I really appreciated that. And she did a great job of it. And then towards the end of the week, or the later part of the week when I was able to be there, she filled me in and told me, basically I wasn't there for how we were doing that part of the process. So she would fill me in, send me an email at night, and she was very helpful, and she did a great job with that. So that's the extent to how much I know her. I don't know her really personally, like any further than that. It was just I don't want to say coworker, but classmate, or however you want to call it.
I feel that. Yeah, and she's running against Nicholas Brickman, who you said was an attorney general. And he the most interesting thing from what I got from the meet the candidate debates and stuff is that he proposed a newsletter that comes from the governor's administrative cabinet and the peer academic coaching directly to students to help the students understand what their votes will represent and summarize weekly student government town halls. And also he hopes that these would help incentivize more students to get involved with student government. Now, the final four or final five candidates, I didn't know as much about because I wrote this on kind of a short turnaround, and I wasn't able to be at a lot of stuff. But for Broward campus governor, it's two juniors, Brittany Del Valle and Sarah Lewis. Sarah Lewis is a current Senate member. She transferred to FAU. She said that she's in a statement. She said this to SG at FAU's Instagram page. I'm running for Broward campus governor because I believe in the power of our voices. This position would allow me to speak for our students and fulfill the purpose of bringing a positive change. Being a senator for 2 semesters has given me the push to want to do even more for the university. And her opponent, Brittany Del Valle, she's a criminal justice major. She said she wants to bring more opportunities for minority students, and she wants a greater sense of community and opportunity on the Broward campuses, just as those like on the Boca campuses. And I know the least, unfortunately, about the three in Jupiter. I know their names, Jaylene Kennedy, Kirk Myers, and Jitesh Prasad. Jaylene said, she's a junior, that she wants to establish her campus in the city of Jupiter more. She wants to make more off-campus connections in the city of Jupiter. She wants longer library hours, off-campus discounts at local restaurants, and to develop a stronger relationship with the sister campuses. Kirk Myers is a sophomore. He said he's been a student government representative for 3 years. He said he wants to expand diversity programs and services, he wants to extend Jupiter library hours as well, just like Jaylene, and get a better homecoming culture at Jupiter. And Jitesh Prasad, he said that essentially he wants to enhance campus life at Jupiter. So a lot of them really talked about the same things in their I tried to do the best I could with these guys. Like I said, this is the first thing I've ever written about SG, and it's not published yet. I still need Kendall, and I actually have to ask Jillian or Natalia something about this when we're done. But
yeah, send it over.
I tried to do them justice and tried to summarize without making it too long what they were all running on, and without making it formulaic. But with the meet the candidate events and stuff, they only give them a couple minutes to talk, and you're kind of on the spot. But I really think Lily McDonald, the girl running for vice president, was very impressive. And I also really liked the two people running for Boca. Rhoda Hood sounded great to me, and her opponent, Nicholas Brickman. I really liked their ideas. They were really enthusiastic and stuff. And as someone who doesn't normally cover SG and doesn't really know anything about it, they made it interesting and fun to write about. So we'll see how these elections turn out. It's February 23rd through the 24th. So we'll see who wins. May the best person win.
One thing I want to clarify is that when you vote for the president and vice president, you vote for them as a group. So there's not a separate vote for president and vice president. They come as one pair, like with the actual president and vice president. Max Simonson, I know he's a great guy. He's been a member of the he's a member of the Student Alumni Association as an ambassador. I feel weird saying I'm a member because I am a member, but I've been like a COVID member. So it's really just been like a check-in, like a Zoom call once a month. But
everything is so weird online.
Yeah.
Like you feel involved, but you don't.
Like I interviewed to like represent the student body and alumni, like happy hours and like cocktail parties. There was none of that. But he's just a great guy, and and I think he would do very well for FAU as the president. And then Kirk Douglas, right? No, Myers. Kirk Douglas is an actor. He actually came to help us out for CBAC because we were all brand new to the CBAC process. He is an expert on like everything student government, and he will really I believe he'll be an excellent governor for the Jupiter campus. So, that'll be in a good place. So.
Sounds good. Sounds great.
Hopefully this is a message. Everyone get involved, check out these people's Instagrams, check out what they stand for. What they do really does impact you and what goes on campus. So please do get involved and pay attention to that.
And as always, make sure this Tuesday and Wednesday, make sure you go out and vote on our Central. Make your vote count. And up next, we also have the additional fraud cases at FAU. We have more fraud cases that are happening. Last week, we reported we already had a whole ton, more than 15 fraud cases, and now we just added 3 fraud cases this week. So, Jillian, give me the update on this.
Sure. We don't have that much information. Again, these are all ongoing cases, and FAU PD, but also just police departments in general, are not very cooperative about releasing those records when cases are ongoing. But the additional cases did happen on the 16th, the 17th, and the 18th. And just like all the prior ones that we talked about, they were attached to cases relating to working with another agency or an outside agency, just like the previous ones. So that's really interesting. Like I said last time, it really makes me wonder why the FAU PD is also having to work with, an outside agency on this matter with each of these cases. So I'm very curious, and I'm anticipating when these cases get closed so I can, wait another 3 weeks for a records request to go through.
We kind of finished up FAU type of news. We don't have a lot of FAU news this week, but
we can mention, because I think we talked about it super briefly in our Discord, but student government is putting together little COVID care packages. Do you know when they're releasing those?
I
can find out real quick.
Yeah. So Natalia and we both sat in a couple of student government meetings. We saw them putting together this legislation. I think it was like a budget of $300 something that they allocated to this. But yeah, basically they're putting little bags together with some masks, hand sanitizers, and other little goodies. I believe they're setting up a table and they're going to pass out these items at the table on campus.
Yeah.
That's a nice gesture.
It's a very late one.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I
it's
agree
a gesture.
Yeah, I agree. Better late than never, but I agree with you.
Well, did you all hear were you at the Ways and Means Committee also?
I was not at the Ways and Means Committee. I don't know which one you went to, Natalia, but I went to the Rules and Policies meeting.
Right,
I went to the House meeting at 3:30.
Okay, so that bill did occupy the Ways and Means Committee meeting also, because it because honestly I questioned it as far as how efficient and effective it is as far as distribution. So I ended up supporting the bill because we voted on it in the Ways and Means Committee to see if we were going to present it to the House, an hour later. So because we were tied, and then I spoke in support, and then we voted again, and then we won for it to vote on in the House. Because the bags, they're little dip bags with PPE, COVID protecting stuff. I didn't think it was I thought it would make more sense to just buy the supplies in big boxes and spread them out in various offices and vendors on campus. That way, if you're walking somewhere and then all of a sudden your mask strap breaks, you can run into like the
nearest building
and say, hey, I need a mask, mine just broke, and then just get it there.
Yeah, I completely agree. That sounds far more efficient than handing out bags on a single day for people to carry around.
If people are going to leave those bags in their dorm or their apartment or in their car or lose it, and how helpful is 2 masks really worth to one person?
Yeah.
And so I thought it was a much more effective and efficient use of the money just to buy everything and spread it out where they're really safe, where students can get to it. However, what I thought would do, because right now we have the money in our budget to spend it on the bags, I thought we could use it as a way to introduce a larger idea later. So that way student government will get the recognition and students will get their protective equipment in the long run and in a more convenient and effective way. So, yeah, I threw a little bit of politics into it, but
yeah.
But the important thing is that people get what they need.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully the bags help someone. I completely agree. It probably would have been more efficient. It definitely would have been more efficient to put these in places where people can access them when they need them. But hopefully it helps someone.
Hopefully it helps someone. Hopefully it will make people, again, hear about student government and want to be a part of it. Because, the more people that are involved and are excited about it, the people will actually be more thorough and interested if they actually want to be in student government and if they're actually excited about it. And otherwise, they'll just go there and vote, not care what they're voting about if they go at all. And we want people that are, that don't need an incentive to be there. So, because it really is a good organization to be a part of. So that's why it's not about like advertising. We're not making money off of it, but we are trying to be appealing to more students so that they can be a part of it. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's just important for people to care about it in general, because I mean, student government is the politics of FAU, and they don't have the most clean history either. So people caring about it in general is important.
So I almost forgot about that. Thank you so much, Jen, for bringing that up. So going actually now into national news, we actually have Texas and Ted Cruz. So this past week, Texas has been receiving a ton of snow, more than 3 inches of snow, I believe. And here we have the governor, Texas, Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz goes on an airplane to Mexico. Thinking about the name, I forgot the name of the city.
Cancun.
I was like, it starts with the C. It's Cancun. Gets on a plane to Cancun, and basically leaves the rest of the state of Texas to freeze. So, Jillian, what do you think about this?
But yeah, so it's important to mention that firstly, it's not only Texas who is suffering from this crisis right now. There are a lot of states. Texas is getting hit probably the worst at this point, though. But I believe it was, I think it's 50, yes, according to the Washington Post, 58 people have died because of this snowstorm, 32 specifically in Texas. One recent incident was a woman and her three grandchildren were trying to keep warm in their home with their fireplace, and there was a fire and they passed. Another recent one was an 11-year-old boy who died in his trailer home because it was not warm or insulated enough. So this is really, really a bad tragedy. And it's really unfortunate that Ted Cruz was not taking it seriously. According to, it looks like the New York Times I have here, he stated on Monday that he anticipated, possibly 100 people dying a week. And then it was, when was it that he flew out? Yeah, so I believe he left on Wednesday. He left on Wednesday, 2 days after saying that this was a serious crisis. He left to Cancun, and he was reportedly not going to come back until like Sunday. He was supposed to be there the whole weekend, but of course, reporters snapped pictures of him, and he ended up coming back on Thursday. And his first statement was, oh, I was just trying to be a good dad. And, well, my wife and my children forced me to go. I didn't want to go. And then texts came out from, I believe, neighbors and other people who know them that showed that that was not really the case. He really wanted to get away, and he was trying to bring other people and neighbors along with him. So yes, he was seen leaving for Cancun, which was 80 degrees Fahrenheit on Thursday, and it was in the 30s in Houston. So not really great. And it's really funny when you compare it to during, pandemic. And this is still according to the New York Times article written by Shane Goldmacher and Nicholas Vandos. He was calling other Congress member hypocrites for traveling and not staying home during the pandemic. Well, we're still in a pandemic, and he still traveled to Cancun. In addition to that, he did it while his state was in a crisis. So a very hypocritical situation and a very bad look in many ways.
So, Michael, you want to give your views on this?
Jillian actually covered basically everything I did. I think we read the same exact article about how the neighbors basically ratted him out. Ted Cruz is not a very well-liked person, even amongst the Republican Party, I've learned. But yeah, not a good look to leave your constituents freezing. And I think Texas, they have an independent power grid that was never like, I don't understand why it's like they never anticipated that they could get cold weather. And I know that snow is rare in a place like Texas, but it's just a shame. I read the same stories that Jillian did about little kids dying in their parents' arms and stuff like that. So it's not a good look to be going off to vacation, but she basically nailed every point that I had. So I don't want to repeat basically what she said.
Well, you bring up a really great point about the electrical grid and how, all of their energy is, independent, essentially. Their power grid is independent. So part of that means that these companies can raise the costs. And that has been a really big issue as some people are starting to get power back. Some people have paid upwards, they're receiving bills of $17,000. That's how bad these people are marking up their prices. Some report, this is from the Washington Post, that they are receiving over $600 in daily charges for their electricity and such. So that is an issue with unregulated, companies and unregulated power sources. It's really, really hurting the people who need it most. Also, there's a very inaccurate theory that the windmills are causing all the snow in Texas. That is not the case. Windmills are not doing that. So, just in case anyone needed clarification.
Also, if nobody knew, that tweet that has been going around about Ted Cruz, that is false. That tweet is false. There is nothing
Which tweet?
about. It was the tweet about him saying he'll believe climate change when Texas freezes over. That statement, that tweet is false. That is not true. It's been fact checked already. And
thank you. That's a good clarification because I do remember seeing that one.
And as well, I want to bring this up because this just came out today. Apparently, let me put it up on Twitter. Where is it? Here. Dasani, the bottled water company, actually, people are discussing the Dasani bottled water after Coca-Cola donated 6 trailer trucks full to residents impacted by the freezing winter conditions in Waco, Texas. So just to put that out. So yeah, so people are going hectic on Twitter over that. And so as well as that, we've also have information about Andrew Cuomo. So basically, Andrew Cuomo's been getting a bunch of backlash over the last couple of weeks. So does anyone have any type of big?
I can talk about it unless.
Can we rewind to Ted Cruz? I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah.
So here is my probably controversial thought about that. Is that Ted Cruz is the senator for Texas, right? And he was appointed that, and he is supposed to be updated and help to update, or he's supposed to be kept up to date with the conditions in his state. But as far as his job responsibilities are concerned, they are in Washington. And his job opportunities are to make bills, and then like for the bills and the legislation that he creates as a member of the Senate, he is supposed to be making those bills for whatever's best with the people of Texas in mind and whatever's best for the people of Texas. So was it just really a bad decision and because it looked absolutely horrible? Yes, right. But did he technically do anything wrong? Technically he didn't. I mean, it's not like he didn't show up to work, and it's not like he actually didn't do his job description at that point. I mean, I would rather be in Cancun too if I didn't have to work. But I understand why people are so upset about it. But I also think people did choose. If it wasn't Ted Cruz, it wouldn't have been nearly as big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. It's sure, he did not neglect any of his, on paper job responsibilities, but I think, it's really infuriating because he's supposed to represent the people and he's supposed to be with the people. And I think, this trip is a very blatant example of how he does not see himself as part of the people, or at least, he has more freedom than a lot of people do, and it really creates this disconnect. I mean, the resort that they were looking at in Cancun, again, according to the New York Post, was like $309 a night, or this was actually the New York Times, $309 per night. That's a lot of money, and that's not even considering the airplane tickets back and forth, So Did he neglect his job responsibilities? No, but I think it was a real eye-opener to people to see that disconnect between their representatives and themselves.
I don't think his people are still going to vote for him. So I think it's not even his people that picked up on him. But anyway, this is my idea.
Mhm.
My thoughts on the situation. I don't think he's a horrible person for going to Cancun.
Mhm. So, Michael.
I just wanted to quickly add what Jillian said. It has been I've since COVID restrictions, especially. There's been a couple like Congress people and governors that have told people to stay home and then skirted the rules. I saw Gavin Newsom in California, my favorite state, but he was telling people to stay home during the worst of the pandemic, and then he got photographed later that night eating dinner at a restaurant. Meanwhile, restaurants in California are closed and people cannot feed their families and things like that. So I think that there has been, it's like Neil said, technically, did he not do his job? No. But is it a bad look? Yes. And I feel like both politicians, Democratic and Republican, have really seen themselves as not being they don't have to adhere to these restrictions. I didn't even know you could fly to Mexico. I didn't even know any international travel was open right now until this. So, but that's all I have to say on that. I don't want to go too long.
Mm-hmm. So actually, thank you, Neil, for correcting me. Ted Cruz is not the governor. He is part of the Senate. So thank you for that. Mm-hmm. So as well, we're going to be talking about Andrew Cuomo. So I know we're all on the look for Andrew Cuomo. So who wants to kind of give their viewpoint?
I can talk about what's going on a little bit. So the secretary to the governor, Melissa DeRosa, so a video was leaked of a Zoom conference call with her and a few of the other state Democrats, in which she directly apologized to the state Democrats because Cuomo and the administration misreported the deaths within nursing homes by up to like 50%. They misreported it purposefully to try to cover themselves up. This is according to the New York Post. Apparently, the figures were actually about 12,743 deaths as of January 19th. So it's a lot of people, and it's more than what was initially reported. And so their excuse is that we froze, and that they were afraid of backlash. So that's why they misreported. And so her apology, was not to the people who died, was not to, the people who were hurt by this misrepresentation, but it was to the other Democrats, and she was apologizing for the effect that this has on their politics with the Republicans. So people are not only outraged about the lying, but also the, lack of empathy for the people that they lied about.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those. It's terrible. I don't know. I almost feel like I've just gotten numb to hearing about more dead people.
Oh yeah, I mean, every day it's something new.
Mm-hmm. So as well, I pulled this up here from CNN Politics. Cuomo's national star threatened by increased scrutiny of nursing home deaths. This was done by Gregory Craig, who's from CNN, and apparently Cuomo has denied any suggestion of wrongdoing and forcefully defended his top aides. He has also scrambled to contain the fallout through back channels, leaning on some Democratic legislators in search of public support, and according to a few of them, issuing threats when his requests were rebuffed. So I think that's really interesting to see that a top back in the last administration, you had people who were praising him, saying he was doing the best and whatever. And now with this new administration, we have this new thing coming out about him. So, Michael, I see you want to kind of talk about this?
Actually, it's about Cuomo, but it's about a kind of a different issue. For people that didn't know, last month, Cuomo, it's from a New York Times article. No, give me 1 second. Northwell Health, which is New York State's largest health system, it's run by Andrew Cuomo, one of his closest allies. They have been suing patients for medical debt during the pandemic. So this isn't his first bad look, in my opinion. And they've been charging interest payments as well. And they tried to defend themselves in the article, and I'm paraphrasing, by saying that what they were doing wasn't bad because they were suing from debt from 2019 and not 2020, which makes no sense because this has hit, you know what I mean? It doesn't, it's just a bad look. This system brings in about $12.5 billion in annual revenue, so they don't need to be suing anybody. They have more than enough money. So, and they've received $1.2 billion in emergency funding through the stimulus package in the Federal CARES Act last year. So this isn't his first time where he's appeared to be slimy or act unethically. So this doesn't surprise me at all, considering what I learned last month about this. And I was surprised that this story last month didn't get more press because it kind of appalled me. So, but that's all I got to say.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That is really interesting.
So this isn't his first bad press type of thing from him. Wow, I didn't know that. Thank you for bringing that up. So as well, we'll be jumping into the Rush Limbaugh. I said it correctly?
Rush Limbaugh.
Limbaugh. I finally said it correctly. I finally said his last name correctly.
You nailed it.
I nailed it. So I know this past week he passed away, right?
Yeah, February 17th.
Yeah, so anyone want to give me, so I know I heard some, I think, was it here? Yeah, it was here in Florida that Ron DeSantis was ordering for flags to be flown at half-staff for him.
Yep.
Yes, yes, that is totally true. And he also received the Presidential Medal of Honor, I believe it's called, from President Trump. And for anyone who doesn't know who Rush Limbaugh is, he is an on-air personality. He began a radio show nationally in 1988. I believe this is according to people.com. And he has said a lot of racist, sexist, and otherwise controversial things. And he has a very tight following, and I think that can be seen by his receiving of the medal and Ron DeSantis calling him out as well. He has a following, and if you guys like, I can read some of the things that he said that are controversial. So one thing he would say back in 2007 when Barack Obama was a senator, he said Barack, the Magic Negro, and created like a racist parody song out of it. Let's see, he's also said, when a gay person turns his back on you, it is anything but an insult, it is an invitation. He said feminism was established so as to allow unattractive women access to mainstream society. He said the Earth's ecosystem is not fragile. It's not true. Women should not be allowed on juries where the accused is a stud. He said, I think it's time to get rid of this whole National Basketball Association. Call it TBA, the Thug Basketball Association, and stop calling them teams. Call them gangs. What else? Let's see. He said in 2013, if any race of people should not have guilt about slavery, it's the Caucasians. In 2011, I'm not even gonna say this because it is just, it's basically just a long rant of him making stereotypical like Asian pronunciations. He's going like ching chang cho, ching chang cho, ching chang cho for like.
Was that the plane crash? Is that what you're referring to?
I'm sorry, your mic kind of.
Are you referring to the plane crash when it was like the air, the Korean Air?
I'm not sure exactly, but I do know that was him mimicking the Chinese president, Hu Jintao. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but that was my best attempt. So that was just him mimicking the Chinese president. He said that the NAACP should have a riot rehearsal. They should get a liquor store and practice robberies. He said we need segregated buses. This is Obama's America. he said, let the unskilled jobs that take absolutely no knowledge whatsoever to do, let stupid and unskilled Mexicans do that work. And he's also said, you're a foreigner, shut your mouth or get out. So that is probably a very brief list of some of the things that he said. And this is all, being spewed in his writing and at his radio show. So yes, this is what Trump gave him the Presidential Medal of Honor for. This is who Ron DeSantis is praising. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Michael.
Yeah. Jillian once again covered everything that I was basically going to go over, but she missed one key detail that is ironic and kind of funny in a way. In 2015, Rush Limbaugh denied that tobacco had any risks. He was a smoker and he died of cancer. So I don't understand this whole thing where he was one of those guys that had to go on his radio show and just parrot alternative facts to anything that any progressives said. So if progressives said tobacco hurts you, oh no, tobacco doesn't hurt you. I just found it ironic and weird. And like I said, I'm a little older than probably a lot of other college students, so I remember him being a provocateur when I was a kid, and Neil, I'm sure remembers it too. And he's just, I mean, you could probably find more terrible things that he said, Jillian, if you wanted to devote an hour.
Oh, 100%. I figured I didn't want to take up too much of our time.
I was curious how news covered this. I'm not, I don't think you should necessarily throw dirt on a man's grave right when he dies, but at the same time, it was interesting to see how certain outlets covered him. But like I said, just sort of like Bill O'Reilly and stuff, I've known him to be a race baiter, to be a provocateur. I think he came up with the term feminazi, if I'm not mistaken. That was his doing. But I don't know. I think he's a pretty terrible man. Condolences to his family, but that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. I think another one that I meant to bring up as well was there was a college student from Georgetown Law. She was a law student. And in 2012, she was advocating for lawmakers to, make birth control more accessible to college students. And when Rush Limbaugh was talking about it, he called her a slut and a prostitute because she was advocating for birth control access.
Oh my goodness. So, Neil.
Yeah, so Mr. Limbaugh, I remember, I would say probably about, why did I think it was 2018? So over 10 years ago now. I know, I think 2007, 2008. Actually, let me look at this here, somewhere around there. He was addicted to painkillers, and so I remember I remember the story that he drove to Mexico and got caught crossing the border. I can't find any articles about that right now.
I vaguely recall that.
Yeah, but I can find articles about him being caught with Viagra and when he wasn't on it. And so he got in trouble with that. And then also he had another thing where he was doctor shopping for painkillers in Palm Beach County. And then he paid $30,000 to go towards a court cost or the investigation. And then my favorite part about this article was he said, drug use, some might say, is destroying this country. And this was actually on October 5th, 1995. And we have laws against selling drugs, pushing drugs, using drugs, importing drugs. He also added, and so if people are violating the law by doing drugs, they ought to be accused and they ought to be convicted and they ought to be sent up. On the same show, he commented that the statistics that show blacks go to prison more often than whites for the same drug offenses only illustrated that too many whites are getting away with drug use.
So I just want to point this out. This is from an article from the Times as well. It says Rush Limbaugh dies at 70, turned talk radio into a right-wing attack machine. And this is by Robert D. McFadden and Michael M. Greinbaum. I am probably mispronouncing this. I am so sorry. But in it, it also said his conspiracy theories ranged from bald-faced lies about Barack Obama's birthplace. The president has yet to have proven that he's a citizen, he said falsely in 2009, to claims that Mr. Obama's 2009 health kill bill will empower death panels and enthusiaze elderly Americans. And in the wake of last year's election, he also amplified Mr. Trump's groundless claims of voter fraud. On President Biden's inauguration day, during one of his final broadcasts, he insisted to listeners that the new administration had not legitimately won it. So not only did he do a bunch of other stuff besides that, not only did he talk all of this on his show, he also told his listeners that this new administration didn't actually win this. So I see Jillian wants to kind of have a viewpoint on this.
Well, if someone wants to jump in about his statements on voter fraud and stuff, please go before me.
I can.
Okay, because I wanted to talk about what Neil said, so you go ahead.
Because my statement on the voter fraud thing is simple, baseless, just like all the other voter fraud stuff. Go out and look it up. Baseless. That's it.
Very true. I was going to add, because I think Neil brought up a really great point, about addiction and how we look at addiction, especially depending on, what substances people get addicted to and who's getting addicted. I feel like we treat people differently depending on what they're addicted to. I think, if someone gets addicted to, heroin, automatically people are looked down on and there's a stigma, whereas, and it's usually people who get addicted to that who are, minorities, or they don't have the same privileges in life that other people are given. Whereas, people who get addicted to painkillers are more often white, higher class people. And people aren't quite as looked down on for that. And I think that's a really important conversation, because addiction is addiction, no matter who you are, and everyone deserves help for their addiction. So to discredit certain people and to look down on certain people, but not others, it's really sick. I think everyone deserves to have their addiction taken seriously.
And it's prejudiced. Sorry.
Yes, very prejudiced, often racist and classist as well.
Mm-hmm. So, Neil.
Yes, ma'am.
I see you have your hand raised up.
Oh, that's been raised since last time, I suppose. And Jillian, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm having some trouble transitioning to this new hand system. I did that in class too. I don't raise my hand. I just talk.
Yeah.
I just saw.
I think you did pretty good with it, Neil.
Yeah.
But to add to what Jillian said, and to get a little kind of social work studenty about it, there are some. If you are to look at populations, there are some. Now, anyone can get addicted to anything. That's absolutely true, and we should never stereotype. We should never do anything. I've shared with Jillian, but I'm happy to share with anybody that I am actually, I was addicted with drugs and alcohol for almost 20 years. And I've been, in June, I'll be 3 years sober. And I bet if you guys, when you guys look at me, you probably think, I'm sure he's never tried heroin. I did try it about 15 years ago. I've never injected it, and I only tried it like twice, and I didn't like it. But so, I mean, and right now I'm wearing a blue polo and khaki pants with my, not really what you would picture. But so you can never follow stereotypes. But if you do look at drug use, there are certain drug use that does stick within certain communities. The first one that always comes to my mind, crystal meth. here, gay community. It's a huge problem in the gay community. And also is cocaine. And that's the main one that's going to mind right now because I went off topic so much because I couldn't think of what else to talk about. And luckily, I get to edit this. So you guys are going to listen to this and be like, what conversation was that? So I'm just chopping out the entire part right there.
You're good.
You're good.
Yeah, it
So-
sounds good. I think this one went really well with being on a tighter schedule and stuff like that. And I'm looking forward to the next one.
Oh, I didn't know we were finishing.
Are we finishing?
Well, we need to finish. We need to
I was gonna
explain-
say, congratulations, Neil, on having your 3 years. That's, such a really
Mhm.
difficult thing to do, and I really empathize with that. So really,
Yeah.
congratulations.
And,
I do too. I
Yeah.
empathize as well. I had family members that battled addiction,
Me,
so
me
it's,
as well.
prison is not the answer.
That's
for
what I was playing.
any
No.
drugs.
No. So thank you guys so much for joining our episode 3 of the UPress Play podcast. Make sure you tune in to next week's podcast for more information and more discussions from me, Michael, Julian, and Neil. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye. This was good. I think we did good.
All right. We did good. Oh my goodness.
I liked it. I think the sound quality was definitely better, and I like the tighter schedule, honestly.
Yeah.
And it was cool. It was we had a slow news week at FAU, but I still think that the stuff that got discussed was pretty cool.
I think we talked about important things. I think student government is important, so I'm glad
Yeah.
we covered that.
I agree.